Joe Biden is melting down as Democrats doom themselves by embracing the far left. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest gaffe coming from the sputtering lips of the presumed Democrat nominee and how the increasing lurch to the left by the Democrats is all but dooming any chances that they have in November. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone, patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If you're new to our channel, a warm welcome to you. We analyze current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where together we celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, before we dive in things here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that is Collagen, available at my special website, healthwithsteveturley.com. Now, if you don't know, collagen may be the closest thing we'll ever get to a real fountain of youth. Many health experts now agree that consuming collagen helps to renew and revitalize how you look and you feel. Taking collagen regularly can revitalize your body and make your skin, bones, and even your hair look and feel more healthy and youthful. Now, I use it every day. I put it in my coffee in the morning. It tastes great. It's awesome. Now, if you click on that link below today, you can get up to 51% off your order. So do not wait. Click on that link below today and get your own collagen supply. You'll be glad that you did. All right, gang, let's dive right in here now. I'm sure many of you have heard about this very recent cringeworthy disaster of an interview that Biden did with a black reporter. It was CBS News' Errol Barnett, who was hosting an event with the National Association of Black Journalists. And he asked Biden as to whether Biden took a test that would assess his mental fitness. And Biden just snapped at him and says, "No way, man. I haven't taken a test like that. Why the hell would I take a test like that? Come on, man." And then in typical Biden fashion, he stepped in it even further. He actually asked this interviewer, Barrett, if he was a junkie. Biden was all like, that's like you saying, before you got on this program, if you took a test where you were taking cocaine or not. What do you think about that, huh? What are you, a junkie? I mean, it's a bit of a rambling sort of way of asserting that were he to take such a test, it would confirm that there are indeed concerns about his cognitive health. But again, given that it's Biden, it's very hard for him to speak intelligibly. And so this is why his inner circle is begging him not to debate Trump. And Breitbart laid out some of the more bizarre things that he said during the interview. For example, when asked about whether he would debate Trump, Biden said, "I'm so forward-looking to having an opportunity to sit with the president or stand with the president in debates." So forward-looking. Here's another one. "I'm very willing to let the American people judge my physical as well as my mental fitness." He actually has a hard time saying mental fitness, mental fillness. And it just went downhill from there. Now, to make things even worse for Joe, good old Joe, God bless him, he actually boasted back at the end of June that he did in fact take several cognitive functioning tests and pass them with flying colors. So what's going on here? Now, again, this was back in June. It was at the end of June 30th. When under pressure from reporters about his supposed cognitive decline, Biden actually claimed that he's been constantly tested and that he has, in fact, taken cognitive functioning tests. He refused to release the results, but he was sure to say, "Hey, I passed them with flying colors." But now, with this interview, he's denying that he ever got tested for his cognitive functioning skills. And frankly, he got quite insulted by the question. He got flustered. So which is it? Well, given the fact that he can't even pronounce mental fitness without stumbling, I think we have our answer. And, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think he remembers what he said on June 30th. I don't think he can remember that far back. That's what a cognitive test would determine. And that's why his inner circle is so afraid of him debating. Now, needless to say, this is not good for Biden. We've talked about this in other videos. It's certainly apropos to today's video, but a recent Zogby poll asked over 1,000 likely voters, do you believe that Joe Biden, the presumed Democrat Party nominee, do you believe that Biden is in the early stages of dementia? A solid majority of Americans, 55%, do in fact believe that Joe Biden is in the early stages of dementia. Young people, too, they were particularly concerned about Biden. 60% of likely voters between the ages of 18 and 26 believe Biden exhibits early onset dementia. So this kind of banter, the combination of his forgetfulness and stammering on the one hand, and then his frankly insulting his questioners on the other, right? You don't vote for me, you ain't black, man, right? This combination of his stammering and stuttering and his angry responses does not bode well when nearly 60% of the polled population believes you're in the early stages of dementia. Now, again, it bears repeating. Biden is an extraordinarily weak candidate. We can forget that Biden was a disaster in the Iowa caucuses, which itself was a disaster. It took days for us to find out who won, if you remember that. And then a couple of weeks later, he came in 5th place in New Hampshire. He did not even break 10% of the vote in either the caucus or the first primary. I mean, it was utterly humiliating. No candidate who placed 5th in New Hampshire has ever gone on to win the presidency. It was only because the establishment was so freaked out about Bernie Sanders, they all just lined up behind Biden, including Bernie Sanders. How's that for a man of principle? There's a populist for you. Even Sanders lined up behind him. So Biden is basically having a meltdown. His team has admitted that he will not be traveling to receive the Democratic nomination in Milwaukee, which is not a good sign. He's an extremely feeble shell of the politician he used to be. Now, we have another fascinating development going on with the latest round of primaries. Just the other day, they were in Kansas, Michigan, and Missouri. And it's very interesting. I really appreciate the analysis of Democratic pollster Doug Schoen from yesterday's primaries. He argues that there were two big winners coming out of the primaries. I think he's absolutely right. First and foremost, the big winner was the Republicans. And that's because all the candidates that are basically shoo-ins to win in the general election won their primaries. Chris Kobach lost his bid for the Kansas Senate seat to the more establishment candidate, Representative Roger Marshall. Kobach is a huge force, awesome guy behind the immigration reform and border security. But what we have to remember here, it's the same phenomenon that we're seeing going on in Europe, is that the more nationalist populist the center-right party becomes, like in this case the Republican Party, which has become a thoroughly Trumpian party, the more the mainstream center-right party embraces nationalist populism, ironically, the harder it is to run these more nationalist populist candidates. And that's because if the party as a whole is nationalist populist, then you just put in the establishment-backed favorite who has a 90% chance of winning, and he'll vote the same way the nationalist populist purist, in this case Chris Kobach, would have. Right? And that's what I think is going on here. Republicans in the Senate and the House look very, very good for November. Now, the second winner isn't so much a winner in the long-range view of things, because what we saw win yesterday within the Democratic Party was actually the radical left, the far left. Cori Bush, who's a Black Lives Matter organizer, she knocked off a veteran establishment Democrat, William Clay. He's been in Congress for the last 30 years. Ha ha. And this is on top of a number of other far-left Marxists who deposed the establishment incumbents back in June. And of course, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, she also won her congressional primary. So what we're seeing here, and we predicted this going all the way back to 2016, here on this channel, given the trends that have overtaken the global political theater, what we're seeing is a collapse of the neoliberal center in the Democratic Party and the rise of the far-left populists. And I argue that they are disintegrating into competing tribalisms. And this is going to be a major problem for Biden. Biden is already the object of scorn among many Black Lives Matter activists, particularly Charlemagne the God, right? That interviewer that Biden said, "You're not black if you don't vote for me," right? He recently came out and basically said, that he wished that Joe Biden would just shut the F up forever because he's utterly ridiculous at this point. You have the co-chairman of the Bernie Sanders campaign coming out, a woman by the name of Nina Turner, co-chairperson. She's come out and compared voting for Joe Biden in November to, in her words, eating a bowl of shit. And to make matters even worse, as the far left begins slowly but surely to take over the Democratic Party, that's going to force Biden to champion policies like defunding the police that are radically unpopular with the vast majority of the American people. It's going to force him to go to the far left, which puts him outside the political limits of the vast majority of the voting population. So I really do see Biden melting down and the Democratic Party embracing the far left, which are two ominous signs going into November. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the ratings disaster for the newly woke NBA and MLB, which is just another hilarious example of the age-old adage, get woke, go broke. You're not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.